And it was requested for me to record this session. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to record it because I think some people aren't going to be able to make it today. So it will be recorded. But today we're going to talk about, or I'm going to show you how to use Nearpod. And I am in no way an expert on Nearpod. This is my first year using it, but I've really enjoyed how it's helped me to seamlessly incorporate all the different activities that I normally do in class into a virtual setting, because I'm a very hands-on teacher. In previous years, if you walked into my class, the kids are always doing something in groups, they're collaborating, we're doing matching cards. I mean, there's always things that they can physically put their hands on. And my biggest challenge during this time has been to or this year in this virtual setting, my biggest challenge has been to really engage the students, because y'all know they like to turn off their cameras. They like to mute themselves. They don't want to participate. They don't want to answer questions, because virtually it's so much easier to hide than in the classroom. And so with Nearpod, it's really allowed me to gauge what my students actually know, what do they actually understand, and assess them, as well as give them the instructions for the day and have them collaborate with each other as well. So I'm gonna go over the basic ideas of how I use Nearpod in class, and then I'm gonna show you an example of one of my lessons. And no, I'm not gonna go through the whole lesson, but I'll kind of show you the flow of how that normally goes in my class. So if you just got here, please make sure you click on the link in the chat box and join the Nearpod. If the link doesn't work, then go to join.nearpod.com and then type in the code. And this is a live Nearpod, and I'll explain to y'all what the live and student paste are in just a second, but we're doing a live Nearpod this afternoon.
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. This sentence is grammatically correct.
Somebody's video is
wordy
playing
and hard to read.
So please make sure you're muted. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And let's see. Let me make sure I'm sharing the correct screen. All right, there we go. Now I'm sharing with you my screen. Actually, let me share with you the teacher screen, because you can see the student screen from where you are, because you are logged in as a student right now. So I'm going to share with you what the teacher screen looks like so that you can see how it looks like on your end if you are facilitating this in class. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So how to use Nearpod. Today, I'm going to go over the basics of what Nearpod is, and that's my contact information. If you have questions, you can ask, and you can email me or call me. Either way is fine. All right, so one of the things that I like to do at the beginning of class is actually play a video. And this is going to be an introduction video to Nearpod so that you can see what Nearpod is like. And so I'm going to press student play, because this allows students to view it on their screen. If you just press teacher play, it only plays in the classroom where you're at. So what I typically like to do is I start off with a video. So I'm going to press student play, and then I click continue. And then what I will do is I will press play for the video to play in class. And I have 3 screens in my class because I use the projector, I have a second monitor, and I have my laptop. And so I'm able to show the student screen at the front, and then I have this teacher screen on my side, and then I have my students up on my laptop so that I can see the chat box and my kids. So for a lot of people, that's a lot going on, but you don't have to have all that set up. You can just have your teacher screen up. So let's go ahead, press play, and that'll introduce you to what Nearpod is. And what I typically do is count down 3, 2, 1. That way everybody's video plays at the same time. Because if you don't do that, one student will start and another student has it started. And then the questions that are embedded throughout, it's going to pop up at different times for your students. So When I count down 3, 2, 1, let's go ahead and press play. 3, 2, and 1.
Introducing
All right, so your first question is, what can you add to a video to make it more interactive? And so you can embed these types of questions into your videos to kind of pause and add discussion so that you can hit the high points of whatever video it is you're showing your students in class. So here, for example, on your screen, I want you to go ahead and answer the question. So do you think it's A, matching pairs, B, a draw it, C, collaboration board, or D, questions? And as you can see on my screen, as students answer, I can see what percentage students have chosen and how they've answered. And a lot of times I add these questions in the video just to gauge, well, where are my students at the beginning of class? What do they already know? What do they not know? And I can see by name who has answered and who has not answered. So for example, here, oh, Mr. Lanier, I see you haven't answered yet. Can you please input your answer? Then you can ask your students to do that. Or you can say, oh, Miss Harris, I see you haven't answered yet. Go ahead, you've got 30 more seconds. So don't stress about it. You got 30 seconds left. And so I just let my kids know, hey, I see that you're not participating and they can't hide and they need to answer. Now, I don't ever show the kids this screen. This screen is what I see. But what I will show them is the pie chart. And I will share that with them and I will share this information. But I don't ever show them what each student answered because that's pretty embarrassing if they got it incorrect. So I always show the pie chart and I'm like, hey, look, these are how many people chose the same answer as you. So 37% of us chose D, questions, and 30% of y'all didn't participate. So what's going on? And that way I can address those students as well. So if they're having technical difficulties and whatnot, we can get it handled. And then you can press play. And then when we're finished discussing the video, I'll tell the students, okay, well now let's go ahead and press play again. I'm going to count down and let's all play together. So 3, 2, and 1.
started even faster with our library of pre-made
All right, did y'all hear the audio?
No.
Oh, so some people did, some people
Yes.
Yes.
didn't. Okay, so I'm not sure what happened there, but when you press play, the audio should be back on, and make sure your volume is up and that it's not turned all the way down, because that's happened too to some of my students. So that can happen. That's a little hiccup. I'm not sure what's going on, but then you can put open-ended questions or multiple choice questions in your videos. And that's one of the things I do at the beginning of class, because even in a normal setting, I always start off with a hook to kind of catch their attention of what we're learning about that day. So how can Nearpod help you make instruction more interactive? And so Mr. Turner has shared with us that there's more engagement, and that's true. That's what Nearpod is designed to do, is to help us engage students better, and so that we can better address some of their misconceptions faster and give them back immediate feedback. More collaboration. We can collaborate with other students. It's more engaging. You can embed questions. You can add PowerPoint. You can add interactive elements. And so what I do in class is I do share out my students' answers, because sometimes they're not going to be willing to unmute. And so I'll say, hey, good job, Mr. Turner. I liked your answer. That was a great answer. And then we'll move forward from there. And that way the students still get that affirmation that, yeah, I got that right. Or, oh, she does think that I have a good answer. And so then we'll move on. And you can always see your participation on the teacher screen, which is great, because for me, I can see, okay, which kids are just logged in and not trying to do anything, and which kids are actually actively engaging with me. And I get a report of that at the end of every Nearpod, so that when parents start asking questions, I can say, well, yeah, Mr. Turner came every day to class and he participated in all the Nearpods. So it's not necessarily about participation, but Dr. Anderson, she hasn't really been participating in class. She'll come and she'll join the session, but she's not necessarily always answering her questions. And so that way you can actually have those conversations with parents about how the kids are interacting with you during the live sessions. And I see Dr. Anderson put in her answer. So good job. All right, so what is Nearpod? So Nearpod is a learning tool designed for teachers, faculty who are interested in trying to make PowerPoints more engaging, and the way we deliver the instruction more engaging and interactive with students, and at the same time being able to assess student knowledge. And so what can we use Nearpod for? Well, it enables all students to be active participants, just like you've seen in some of the activities that I've already put in the Nearpod that we're using today. It allows all students to input answers. It allows me as a teacher to see what the students are understanding, who's participating, who's not. It allows me to assess all students, especially those who are less comfortable actually unmuting themselves. And I love the reports that it gives me, because I can track the students' responses and I can actually see, okay, what did they actually say and did they understand it? And so there are two types of Nearpod lessons. The one we're doing today is a live instruction, where this is what I use face-to-face when my students are in class with me, and I'll project the student side. So whatever you're seeing on your screen is what I project up for my students to see in class. And then the teacher side, I have it on my laptop so that I can see and control where we're going in the Nearpod. And as you can see, you can't move forward or backwards unless I move it for you, because this is one way we can make sure our students are paying attention to the slide that we're actually focused on for the day. And the pace of the lessons, it depends on the instructor. Now for student-paced, you can also assign these as student-paced assignments, where the students go through the Nearpod on their own and they can control how fast or slow they go. And you can use this as a homework assignment. You can use this as an activity for the day. You can even use this as just notes for the students to go through as well. And this is basically, and there's a control that you can click to make the students have to answer all the questions in the Nearpod. So they can't just skip the questions, but they have to answer before they can progress. And so these are all the different types of content and activities that you can actually add into a Nearpod. You can do slides, they have vocabulary videos, 3D, they have simulations, field trips, they have graphing calculators for math. That's with, oh, what was the program? I just had a brain fart, but I know with English, they use Kami, the graphing calculators with Desmos, that's the program. And so there's a lot of things that you can embed. I've used videos, the PDF viewers. I've played Time to Climb as a game, kind of like Kahoot. So if you like using games in class to review, Time to Climb is basically the kids pick a little avatar and you race up the hill, and the questions you answer faster, the most correctly, the faster you go up the hill. And so it's just like a little race that you play. And so these are all the different types of things you can do in the Nearpod. So how I currently use Nearpod is I use it to frame my lesson. We always go over our we will statement for the day. I have a hook video with embedded questions, and then we go through the PowerPoint slides for the day. And then I embed check for understanding questions and activities. And then at the very end, I go over the student assignment. What is the I will for the day? And I'm going to show you how that actually looks like. And so examples of things that I've done in class as activities on Nearpod is typically in class when they're physically with you, we've used graphic organizers. Well, it's really hard to show that now virtually. And so you can convert it to a draw it page where the kids can actually, they have tools where they can draw on those graphic organizers and type in them. You can do a gallery walk by using a slideshow where it makes like a slide gallery of all those images. You can do matching and categorizing cards. They have a matching pairs activity. And then you can have a class forum discussion through the collaboration board. And they have Flipgrid embedded into Nearpod as well. And so I'm going to show you a sample of a government lesson that I've did like 2 months ago. It was from Unit 3, Day 1, the preamble to the U.S. Constitution. And so this, I always have a title slide, and then we go over what they think today's going to be about, my daily announcements. And then I go through my we will statement. What are we going to look at today? And then I start a poll where I ask, what do you think is the most important purpose of government? And then students will be able to answer A, B, C, or D. Do you think it's to maintain peace, protect individual rights, provide a justice system, unite the country? And then once students begin doing the poll and I get answers, I can actually share the little pie chart, and then we can have a class discussion at the beginning. So I'm not going to make you guys do all these activities. I'm going to show you what how class would progress from me. And so the preamble, we go through vocabulary. What is the preamble? It's an introduction. And then we have a video, and the same thing, kind of like the video earlier, student plays. We're not going to watch the whole video, but I have the video there. And then we go through our notes. And I like Nearpod because it seamlessly transitions from one activity to the next, where you don't have those awkward pauses of, oh, wait, hold on. Let me pull up this next website, or let me pull up this next tab, and we just continue moving forward with class. And so we go through our notes, we discuss those 2 slides. Every 2 or 3 slides, I add in some type of activity to gauge, okay, did my students understand those last 2 slides? And so we have a fill in the blank where you have a word bank at the bottom, and then you have the words that they can click and drag into the sentence. You can even put paragraphs in here. I've done it multiple ways where it might be a sentence, it might be 2 different paragraphs, or it might be 2 different sections of information where they click and drag. And then we continue going through our notes. And then I have another activity to where, oh, why is it not found? Let's try this again. Promise y'all it's not, there it goes. It's not this finicky all the time. I think it's because I'm presenting. That's why it's doing this. But making a connection. So then this is a collaboration board. So I want a couple of you guys to just type in hello in the chat box, or in or say hi, and you're sharing thoughts and comments. And what I can do as a teacher is, in a collaboration board, the scariest thing is, what if kids like put inappropriate information on this collaboration board for everyone to see? Well, here I can approve their comments. And yes, these are templates. I did not make this. This is a template that they have like 6 or 7 for you to pick from. And then what I tell my students is, okay, well, you see some of your classmates' answers. Can you please like the comments the answers that you agree with? So sometimes we do pros and cons. Sometimes we talk about advantages, disadvantages, or it might be debates of different topics, and people are putting in their opinions. And so I tell the students, like the comments that you agree with, or like the comments that you think that someone made a good suggestion. And that way the kids can also get the affirmation that, oh, someone else does agree with me. Because, you know, kids love getting likes on social media. So this is one way to kind of do that as well, is to give them that affirmation without having to say, oh, hey, Mr. Jackson, that was a great answer. But they get that peer affirmation, not just from me, but their peers are telling them that they're doing a great job. And yes, I as a teacher can see who's making the comments on my side. If you can see my screen, I can see that Mr. Jackson said howdy. I see that Dr. Anderson said hello. And Miss Jackson, you said, can you as the teacher see who's making the comments? Yes. Is the fill in the blank a template too? And yes, they have like 6 different colors that you can pick from. And basically all you do in the fill in the blank is put the entire sentence or paragraph that you want them to fill in the blank for. And then you click on the words that you want taken out when you're creating the Nearpod. And then when that slide comes up, it shows up just like it did on yours. So it's pretty simple. It's really user friendly. You just have to get used to where everything is. And I can show you how to do that at the end as well. And so we continue going through our Nearpod with information. I continue explaining what these different phrases mean. And then in this activity, this is an open-ended question. So give an example of how the federal government promotes general welfare of its citizens. And I let my students answer. We go through, discuss their what they thought, what some people said. And then that allows, and you can also put timers on here so that students know that, oh, I don't have all day to put this in. Miss Lee needs me to get this done in 2 minutes. And I typically give them 2 to 3 minutes because some of my students are slower typers than others, especially if we're talking about giving examples and explaining different topics and ideas. I put a timer up there for them so that they know, okay, I've got 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. And then we continue going through the PowerPoint. And then this is a matching activity where I have my students, after we've learned about the different phrases of the preamble, I have them match the phrase with the image that they believe best depicts its meaning. And so all they have to do is
Fine, how are you?
All right.
and I like using matching because that really allows students to pick and
Okay.
choose.
Lee, can you mute that mic right there?
Oh, there we
Harris?
go.
All right, there we go.
So that way we can I can check to see what my students know, especially with vocabulary and making connections. I like doing the matching so that it's towards the end. I like doing matching so that I can assess more of a lot of more different topics. And then we'll go through the pairs together. I put a time limit on it, and then I'll see what they chose and have them give their explanation of why they thought that was the right answer. And then this is a draw it slide. And with these draw its, the way this works is you can draw on the slide. And so what I do with my students is the way I created this was I made it on a PowerPoint slide, and then I just uploaded it, and then Nearpod allows you to convert that slide to a draw it. So here what I have my students do is, okay, based on the phrases that we learned today, I want you to match each of these scenarios with the correct phrase. So you're gonna write in the box. You can use the writing tool, you can use the text tool. And on my side as a teacher, I can see that, oh, thank you, Ms. Jackson, you've already started. Thank you, Mr. Lanier, I see that you've started. And then my other students, I can tell them, hey, I haven't seen anything yet. Are you having trouble? Do you know how to start? And that way I can encourage my other students to continue working. And then I can see who submitted it. And I can see, hey, Mr. Jackson, you submitted a blank one. Can you please go back and answer it? Or I can see, oh, hey, Miss Jefferson, you drew a flower. Miss Jefferson didn't draw a flower, but Miss Jefferson, why did you, oh, I see your beautiful flower. Can you answer the questions now? And the kids, And it's funny because the kids like drawing me pictures once they're done with their assignment. They'll draw me a little flower, they'll draw a little Christmas tree or whatever the case may be. And that kind of helps build a little rapport with my students too. And I'm just like, okay, you can draw me pictures after you're done. As soon as you're done, draw me a picture. And so I give them some time to do this, but this is a really neat way to do graphic organizers. Like I've done a Venn diagram this way. I've done different charts like this where they're matching, they can draw and match lines as well. And so it's just different ways to do activities that you normally would do in class, but it's so much harder to prepare for it virtually. And Nearpod gives you all these tools to do it without you trying to create every little piece from scratch. And so at the very end of the lesson, that was our wrap up. And then for their I will statement for the day, I go over instructions of this is how you can do your assignment today. And so once you are finished with your Nearpod for the day, you end the session. And that's for the live session. Once you end the session, the students can't go back into this Nearpod again. So I'll end the live session and it tells you it's going to end the session for all students who are logged in. And on your end, you're going to see that as well, that you've been, it'll tell you, oh, the teacher ended the session. And then what I can show you here is how you can add things to the Nearpod, because I know that's probably one of the biggest questions is, well, how do I even do that? And so what you can do is I created these PowerPoints already, and that's why I like Nearpod. I know other people are using Pear Deck, but as a social studies teacher, I have PowerPoints that I've used in previous years that I don't want to have to recreate. And with Pear Deck, I can just upload them. With Nearpod, I can just upload them. Pear Deck doesn't allow me to do that because I researched both of them. And I like Nearpod because here I can upload my PowerPoint. And then as you can see, I can upload a video. And then you click add slide and it'll tell you, well, do you want to add content or do you want to add activities? And then you can just pick whichever one you want. So for example, fill in the blanks. Someone was asking about it. You've got all these different colors and templates. And let's say Mr. Jackson is awesome. Okay, that's what you want them to fill out. And you can make it longer or shorter. And when you click next, you can click the words that you want to be taken out so that they can actually fill in the blank. And then when you click done, it automatically creates the activity for you. And then you just click and drag it to put it wherever it fits in your slideshow. And so this is I think a pretty user-friendly program for us as teachers who already have so much on our plates that if I already have my PowerPoint made from previous years, I'm going to use what I have. I'm not going to try to reinvent the wheel because at the beginning of the school year, my biggest struggle was how do I make it interactive? And this allows me to add these activities. And no, it's not exactly the same as the kids being in person because most of us would probably much rather have the kids in front of us and be able to see their faces and teach the way we've been teaching before. But this is one way to make the virtual learning a little bit easier for the students and on us and engaging them so that they can actually dive into the content with us. And it's not like we're talking to the students the entire time and they're just listening and eyes are glazed over. So that's kind of how you use Nearpod. And if you guys want more details on how to actually create one from scratch, I can help you do that. I don't mind doing that at all. But this is all of my presentation for today. If you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer questions. But I just want to do a brief overview of what it is, how I use it, and what are the different activities in Nearpod so that you can actually get an idea of what you can use it in class for as well.
Great job, Ms. Lee. We're going to give you a round of applause.
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Yes, this is the Q&A session is open for Ms. Lee. We have about 5 minutes. And so Ms. Lee can ask many questions if possible. We don't get there, you can put them in the chat and I'll make sure she gets those questions.
Okay, so I tried today for my algebra class and it looked awesome, but the thing is I cannot annotate, right? So I cannot solve an equation for them to see. What I had to do is go back to Zoom to share my Zoom screen and then only come back for the slide where they were supposed to solve. But I could not figure out a way to write and teach them how to solve what I wanted them to solve. Have you found a way where you can write, because the drawing was the activity for them?
Yes, it's a way.
Oh, yes. Go ahead, Mr. Turner. You can explain.
Well, me, how I do it, I log in as a kid because I have an iPad too. And when I log in as that iPad as a student, that's how I go and do my formulas and stuff like when I have to do it.
And that's exactly what I do as well, Mr. Turner. Is I log in as a student and then I put that student screen on my front board on my projector. And then that's how and then I share that screen with my students. Just like how when I was presenting, I shared my teacher screen with you guys. You can share the student screen with your students during while you're presenting.
But if you share the student, it's back in the Zoom session, right? It's not in the presentation that you're displaying.
It is in the presentation because you open up another window and you sign in as a student. So I'm signed in as a student and as a teacher.
Yeah, I get that. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be obtuse, but I get it. I sign as another student. I start annotating in my own student board. But what is it that they're saying? They cannot see that in their screen because they cannot see another student. I would have to share it and tell them to go back to the Zoom session and see the screen I'm sharing. I can't catch how you share it.
I can, if you want to, I don't mind if you come into my room. If you want to come into my room so I can show you how that works,
Okay.
I'm most definitely open to that. Because
What are you?
I'm in room B107. So the first hallway in the Bs, all the way at the very end, right by the East Seminar room.
Okay. Can I stop tomorrow after school?
Yes, I'll be here. I have youth and government tomorrow, so I'll be here.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see. Will this presentation be added to the school's library? I can add it if you would like to have the presentation added, the Nearpod presentation that I put in there. I can add that to the school library. That's fine. And there are lots of tutorials on YouTube. So Miss Oates Jackson, definitely YouTube is a really good resource. My extension is 6525. So if you need that, my extension is 6525. Any other questions?
How long do we have the license for it? Is it just this year or we're going to have it for multiple years?
It is
So I
a
hate that-
yearly license. And so next year we would, because I actually proposed it to Mr. McDonald to purchase it this year because I started using the free version. And then I told him how much I enjoyed it and how much I liked it and that I think it'd be beneficial. So he purchased it for the campus for this year. And so if it's something that teachers are wanting to continue to use, then I think that's something we could ask him to do again next year.
Okay. Okay, because I know that the free version doesn't have Desmos and some of the other applications up in it.
No, it doesn't. And the free version also has limits on how many Nearpods you can actually create. And so after you reach that max, you have to start deleting your Nearpods to create new ones. And so that's one thing that I would hate to happen for all my stuff because I've created all these Nearpods and for them to disappear, that would make me so sad. Is there something special? The campus already purchased it. So please do not go out and purchase Nearpod. You just log in with your school information and that'll give you access to Nearpod. So normally when I log in, I just click log in with Google and then I just type in my school information and then that gives you access to the school account. Yes, so it is paid for this year, and we have it until October of next year because we purchased it in October of 2020. So we have until October of 2021. And so we would have to renew our license if we would like to continue to use it. But there's a lot of uses for it. I love Nearpod. I'm a huge advocate for it because it allows me to do so much with my students and just to be able to gauge what do they actually know. But yeah, it's already paid for, so might as well use it. Don't go out and try to waste your money on something else. Mr. McDonald reminds me every now and then when he sees me, Miss Lee, are you using it? We paid thousands of dollars for you to use it. And I was like, yes, I am. I am definitely using it every single day. But if you have questions, feel free to email me. Yes, Miss Butler, I'm so glad you use it. And anybody, if you have questions, feel free to email me. And I'm more than happy to answer if I know the answer to it. I do know that we have 2 free webinars with Nearpod. I don't know if those have been scheduled yet, but that would definitely be something we can look into, especially for teachers who are new to Nearpod and want to learn more of the basics of how do I start it, how do I use it, and things like that. I think that would be very beneficial too. So we can definitely ask around to see. Thank you, Mr. Leva.
That was a great job, Miss Lee. Everybody give Miss Lee a hand. I really appreciate you taking your time out to present Nearpod and being the first participant or the presenter for Panther Academy. The next one will be next month, and it will be Dr. Banks. And so the information will come out later on of what Dr. Banks will be presenting to her team of teachers. So everybody have a great day. And once again, Miss Lee is open to any questions or concerns you have for Nearpod. Just stop by. She has a shield in her room, stand at the door, and she will have you a conversation, or safest thing to do, shoot her email. And so everybody have a safe day, a safe trip home, and I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow.